Elliot Perkins, that was my name, and I'm just going to talk a bit about our group very briefly at the beginning and how we sort of came into being. So the Community Cooperative was established in November 2009 as a small group of local activists, educators, artists, walkers, just local folk that felt the need to respond to a process which was going on up in our area in Babbacombe St Mary Church, which was the plans to develop a part of Babbacombe Downs, the now famous story of the toilet block, which I'm not going to say too much about. I think people know that, and Mark's going to talk a bit about that as we move on. But I guess the main ethos of our work as a group really was to slow politics down. We had the kind of feeling that with the tempo and the pace that things were being carried at, that we didn't really feel, as members of the community and knowing our constituency, if you like, that people really knew what was going on. There was a lot of oblivion to what was happening, and things were dropping at the last minute, and we felt this is actually a strategy which needs a response. So we formed our group and tried to work at that. A lot of it was, has been to do with almost sort of a popular style community education, just getting information out there and putting another side and an alternative side to a lot of these arguments out there, where there's a lot of propaganda that's thrown around by the local authority, which suggests that things are self-evident, that there's no other alternative, that things need to happen this way, etc., etc., etc. So this kind of one-sided rhetoric of, if not this, then what else, etc., etc. So we were looking there to sort of develop a kind of a community consensus, and all that work, I guess, if you like, culminated in the large meeting that we held at the Babbacombe Theatre, which for once kind of opened up a discursive space for the community, not through the kind of channels of contrived surveys, etc., and being offered a sort of a list of A to D, and where you can choose one of these four options. It was actually to give people the space and the time to have a discussion amongst themselves as a community, and to bring their lived experience of spaces into play. So 7 months on, almost a year on from there, we're back together again in similar kind of circumstances, under similar pretext today, to respond to something which we see as part of the same design. We feel there's lots of things that have gone wrong with this, and I don't think we would all be here if there were not other people in the room that felt the same way that we did. Just on this note, before I introduce Mark, I would just like to sort of make the point that I'm not sure how many of you are aware that this week is actually, or last week has been, Local Democracy Week. So we thought this would be a fitting way to finish off that Local Democracy Week, which has preoccupied our thoughts all week, been able to do nothing else apart from think about local democracy. So here we all are together. And on that note, I'm going to hand over to Mark Hellier. Thanks, Elliot.
Everybody all the time. The thing is, what the Babbacombe Downs thing shows is exactly what the words public opinion and consultation mean to the people that run Torbay. I've got a few slides by way of illustration, but I should warn you, some of these images you may find upsetting. I did warn you. Okay. This is the man that needs no introduction. This is how the Herald Express reported the unveiling of the Mayoral Vision back in January 2008. If you can't read I'm reading from the panel on the side. The first line says, "Developers are already lining up for a slice of the multi-million-pound action that is the new look Torbay." Now, as we all know, developers and entrepreneurs tend to be motivated by the chance to make a quick buck rather than community service. And to me, this kind of language conjures up images of people queuing outside Harrods for a bargain in the January sales. To illustrate my point, think about this. There's now an empty bar and restaurant on Babbacombe Downs, which is just a stone's throw from where the proposed one was going to be built. So why have we not been reading about transforming that into a fantastic fish restaurant? People seem to lose their entrepreneurial spirit very quickly when there's no free land involved. This article goes on. Some 150 have been invited to a special day next month to showcase the blueprint for New English Riviera, if you remember it's now New English Riviera, being billed as one of the most beautiful seafront cities in Europe. Now, as far as beautiful seafronts go, I wonder how many people stroll through Princess Gardens, look out at the marina and the bay, and say to themselves, yeah, it's okay, but what it really needs is a couple of apartment blocks and a few more shops. Now let's jump forward to the 6th of March 2010 and the meeting at Barbican Theatre. Over 600 people turned out to show their opposition to the plans to give away public land without any consultation. And the Carey estate received 750 letters of objection. Now, to put that in some kind of context, I don't think any public meeting in living memory in the Bay has attracted that many people. And John Ireland of the Carey estate described the amount of letters of objection that he received as a flood. Now, memory's a funny thing, and it can play tricks on us. Some people might think it was the meeting and all those letters that caused the mayor and his gang to change their minds and back down. But if you thought that, you'd be wrong. A week after the meeting, Steve Parrock of the Torbay Development Agency was in the paper apologising for not consulting. Here he is, look. It's sorry we didn't talk to you. And it says, the man heading up Torbay's regeneration plans has said sorry for not consulting fully with a community partnership over the plans for public toilets at a Torquay beauty spot. So all well and good, you might think. Now they've apologised and seen the strength of opposition, they're going to scrap the idea. Oh no, not a bit of it. Here's a quote from the same article. Deputy Mayor Councillor Chris Lewis has asked objectors to draw a line under the lack of consultation and have proper consultation over the plans now being proposed. Yeah, proper consultation. Now, I think by proper consultation, he means consultation where he gets the answer he wants. So what he's basically saying is, yes, okay, you caught us out lying about this and trying to force it through, but we're still going to ignore you and construct a framework to force it through. Sure enough, a week later on the 22nd of March, a Torbay Council spokesman said, the proposal for a restaurant is still in the consultation stage and no decision has been made on it yet. Well, at this point I was flabbergasted. The proposal broke every rule in the book regarding planning and there was massive opposition. I emailed Chris Lewis, but surprise, surprise, he wouldn't answer any of my questions. After 3 emails, I gave up and emailed Steve Parrock about this charade. And he told me that it is envisaged, this is the kind of language that you know, people in those roles fulfill. It's envisaged that the consultation will comprise of 2 all-day public exhibitions, a caravan event, a viewpoint questionnaire, and a local questionnaire which can be returned via the libraries, council offices, post or internet. So, you know, this is all after the meeting with 600 people locked out, 750 complaints. This is the proper consultation, you understand. Not, you know, let's not get mixed up here. You know, people like you guys sat in a room, this is not consultation, right? And you might not want it, but sorry, we need proper consultation. Okay, so in Parrock, Lewis and Byworld, it was still very much full steam ahead. A little bit of consultation shenanigans, and it will be on to the planning stage, where our old friend, I won't mention him, puts in the people who vote how he tells them to vote. How do I know all this? Because well-respected Conservative councillors have a habit of phoning me up and telling me. and I'm not a Conservative, I don't pretend to be one, never have been, but I've got a lot of respect for some of those councillors who stood up and do their bit for the community, and they're the ones, there is no opposition here, it's the Conservatives that stand up and tell me what's going on. A week later, the plug was only pulled on the scheme when the Conservative Party chairman, Eric Pickles, phoned Nick Bye and told him to pull the plug because it was losing their candidates' votes in the upcoming general election. How do I know that? Because a well-respected Tory councillor told someone who felt obliged to phone me. Of course, the official line was that Nick Bye had popped up to Babbacombe and spoken to a few shop owners. And that was enough to convince him that it was all a bad idea. So, hey presto, no need for those public exhibitions, the caravan event, the viewpoint questionnaire, or all the other stuff Steve Parrott told me about. 4 weeks later, Steve Parrott was back in the Herald Express, telling us that high standards of consultation should be used when any development projects are being considered. And in this respect, we must learn lessons from Babbacombe. Well, let's hope they have, eh? But here's the really strange bit. He said, if we had adopted the same consultation process as we have on all the Mayoral Vision sites, we would have known at a very early stage the level of public hostility to the proposal. So that's funny, isn't it? The 600 people at the Babbacombe meeting and those 750 letters, they must have slipped under Steve's public hostility to the proposal radar. Anyway, have they learned a lesson from Babbacombe? Well, I'll let you be the judge of that. Here's a front page article from the 28th of May. Public welcomes vibrant vision. New design plans to transform Torquay's seafront Princess Gardens have received rapturous support. And there's our old friend, Deputy Mayor Chris Lewis. Now, does he look rapturous to you?